What's happening everybody, King GPL here, and welcome back to another Great League video. Today I'm going to be showcasing a very fun team in the Great League that worked really well for me. With this team today, I won 15 out of 22 matches with Skarmory, Goodra, and Giratina. Today's video is focusing on buffed Goodra, but I want to talk about the entire team. And before we get into any of the gameplay, I will give you guys some options if you don't have Giratina. I know that this Pokemon is a little bit inaccessible. The only way that you can get this Pokemon in the Great League is by trading it with somebody who's got it in research. So a little bit of a difficult Pokemon to obtain. And I do hope in the future, hopefully for GoFest or something, they do give us Giratina again. I think everybody should have this Pokemon for Great League. But if you don't have it, I can recommend either using Sceptile or Trevenant in its place. And if you don't have Goodra for whatever reason for Great League, you can also use this with, let's say, Dragonair, or another dragon of your choice. So you could go a couple of different ways. You could go for Skarmory Double Ghost, which would be Skarmory, Sceptile, Trevenant. You could go for Skarmory, let's say Dragonair and Giratina. Or you could even go for something like Skarmory, Dragonair and Goodra. I think the closest replacement to Giratina would be Trevenant. Having Shadow Claw damage and something that can fight back against Azu, I think is pretty important in this team. Anyway guys, welcome back to the channel, hope you're all having a fantastic day. Do me a quick favour, drop a like in the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. Thank you everybody who tuned into the stream today, and a big thank you to all of our channel members and supporters, hugely appreciated. And your support helps me do what I'm doing here, so big thank you to everybody. So in this first match, we had a Sandslash lead. The way I like to play at Sandslash is, because we're super weak to it in the back, at the very least play at the ones. You do win the ones, you can tank an Ice Punch, try not to CMP the opponent, and get off 2 scat attacks. If the opponent double shields the lead, you just basically get off 2 scat attacks and let it go at that point. Shield once, farm down with Giratina, and just hope that it's not Lickitung in the back basically. In this matchup right here, against Lickitung in the lead, you definitely stay in. You can no shield a couple of body slams, no problem here. Lickitung is public enemy number 1 for this team. You're really hoping to draw it out with Goodra, so that Skarmory can take care of it. But in general, yeah, Lickitung is quite tricky. I do like going for the Brave Bird right at the end here, because it does guarantee the knockout. And if they come into a Lantern, we do swap out. If they come into an Ape, we swap out as well. Ape, safe swap, and Poly safe swap can be a little bit tricky for this team. I think I actually forgot to mention that the original team I was running, this version of the team is the version that Zerfrel Rose popularized and came up with. I made a version of this with Sceptile instead of Goodra, so that's another option as well. If you're finding it a little bit tricky to beat these Annihilates, you could put in Sceptile instead. If the opponent safe swaps Poly or Annihilate, you can come into Giratina. It's a little bit trickier with Poly because they can Icy Wind you, but you live with Night Slash, so that's perfectly fine. Now the opponent comes into a Gligar here. The opponent CMPs me on the Shadow Ball here. I'm going to go straight Shadow Ball in this matchup. I have 2 shields, right? I can basically shield up anything. I'm fairly certain the opponent will go for an Aerialus. I think I might even try to catch one, which might be a little bit unnecessary here. But yeah, I guess I'm not going for it. Absolutely unnecessary, don't have to do it. At this point guys, the Annihilate is super low. I do try to go for a CMP tie here, get the Shadow Ball off, which from this range, including the Shadow Claws, will be enough to KO. And at this range, we can basically look to tank a Night Slash. We do live it from here. As I mentioned, it is possible to bring Giratina into Ape because you double resist the counters. You're doing Shadow Claw damage, and as long as you either no shield a Night Slash or shield a Shadow Ball, it's a pretty good matchup for you. So good games there. Yeah, like I said, basically Licky is public enemy number 1, so you're just trying your absolute best not to get it on your back Pokemon here. The biggest issue with this team is if you somehow end up with a Lickitung on your Giratina, it's pretty much just game over. Even if you boost twice, you're probably still not taking it out or even close. Double resisted, all the fast moves are double resisted, all of the charge moves are double resisted. You could go for Dragon Pulse on Giratina. I've tried it before, and it was very, very disappointing. Now the opponent comes into Dugong. I faced off against two Dugongs today. Both of them shielded up the Power Whip, so if you want to be really risky, you can go for a bait, which will force the opponent to further energy sooner, or you can shield up once and basically look to bait once and then go for the Power Whip for the second time. It takes you 17 turns to get to the Power Whip, it takes the opponent 15 turns to get to their first move, and it's 12 turns to the second move, so it's 5-4 basically, 5 Ice Shards and then 4. So if you safe swap Goodra and the opponent swaps out a little bit late, if they give you a 2 Dragon Breath advantage, which most people will, you can look to bait it once if you're throwing perfect timing and make it to a Power Whip. Like I said, I've never seen them no-shielded. It's a really, really risky bait, but if you're in a desperate situation, that is something that you can do. And that's kind of amazing with Goodra. You can potentially force 1 or 2 shields against something like a Dugong. You're going to see in some of the later matches, we were actually forcing shields off Azu, of all things. Azu can comfortably live a Power Whip. The opponent actually double shielded their Azu. I landed a Power Whip and I was able to go straight Aqua Tail afterwards. Goodra is a super cool Pokemon and we're going to check it all out here today. Also guys, if you're interested in Goodra for the Ultra League, I showcased a very good Ultra League team of Goodra. which was using Draco Meteor. Draco Meteor Goodra in the Ultra League was super fun. And I also have another video where I'm using Sceptile instead of Goodra, so you guys can feel free to check that out if you're interested. Anyway guys, hopping into the next match, it is the Polysafe swap. I did not know what to do with this. Like I said, I normally run Sceptile. I'll just meet the Poly with Sceptile. Did not know what to do. Having spoke to Zerfel Rose in the chat, he was saying go into Giratina if they go for Poly, just because you can sort of slightly outpace them with the Ominous Wind, and you can tank an Icy Wind. Poliwrath is definitely one of the big issues for this team. As you can see here guys, we do manage to tank the move. We do get off the Power Whip, and I'm praying and hoping, please let it go. The opponent lets it go. So even though we had a really positive lead, this is still really tricky now, because yeah, I can put my Giratina on this. I was actually trying my best to go for a catch here. The opponent, like an absolute potato, goes for a bloody Seed Bomb. I should have called this move. Had I called this move, it would have been big trouble for the opponent. I do a few extra Shadow Claws, swap out here. Maybe I could have done like an extra Shadow Claw there. But you're going to see that the main difference between Shadow Gligar and main Gligar, and normal Gligar should I say, is that they can actually do a lot of damage to Skarmory. I never realized that this was actually so much better for the Shadow Gligar, so this is kind of tricky. Now, what I need to do in this situation is allow the opponent to farm me down. If the opponent starts outpacing me, I'm in big trouble, but the opponent actually stops attacking. They come in and get the Shadow Claw with Trevenant, and at this point, guys, they can just basically outpace me. So the way I could have won this match here, I end up actually disconnecting at the end here. My USB cable disconnected, but the opponent goes for Shadow Ball. The way I could have won that game for sure would have been to get extra energy with Gira. I potentially could have stayed in, forced a shield with Gira first, which might have been the play. Or what I possibly could have done was just to stop attacking, allow the opponent to farm me down. Even if it means they get off an Aurelius on the Giratina, it's worth taking that Aurelius just so you can outpace the Trevenant into 2 moves. Anyway guys, catching back up with this battle right here, we had a Talonflame lead, which is very negative for Skarmory of course. I went into this straight away. I never do 1 and swap because that means that they might be able to CMP you to the move. So just go straight into Goodra, outpace them to the Aqua Tail. The opponent actually stayed in and shielded, which was good, and they brought in Lickitung, which again is fantastic. Now we've got a shield advantage. The opponent still has a Talonflame. They have 3 Incinerates worth of energy here, so I absolutely need to get some energy here. The opponent aggro swaps into Whiscash, basically giving me the alignment that I want here. Maybe going for the Brave Bird straight away was a little bit aggressive. I probably should have split this match up a little bit more. I would have been, fairly close to Scald range either way, but I probably should have tried to tank a Scald first, go for Sky Attack, and then possibly just let the Skarmory go down and sweep with the Gira. The one thing I did have in my mind is they could permanently debuff me here. I could have potentially farmed down right there. I thought they were getting to a Mud Bomb. Now the Talonflame has a bunch of energy. I do have to keep the shields for this. They go to 4 Incinerates here, so they can go for Flame Charge, and then 1 more Incinerate for the Fly here. So this is kind of still a little bit tricky. My switch clock is up though, so I can go into Skarmory. I do 1 and fro, so that I don't take the Incinerate damage. If you do 2 and fro, you take the Incinerate, and back in comes Licky. So yeah, worked out pretty nicely in the end. The opponent made a big mistake in my personal opinion, misaligning the switch clock, and not throwing the move on Goodra. At the very least, they should have definitely, because they give me a shield advantage off the get-go, and Skarmory with a shield and energy can beat Talonflame, so I think that was the opponent's mistake. The opponent swaps straight out here, and guys, I just don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do, to be honest here. The opponent gets up to 7 counters, which is just bad news. I'm thinking here, should I try to take the move first and then swap? But the opponent overfarms a decent amount. The opponent baits me with a Night Slash, so this is just shambles at this point. This could be a Shadow Ball. I decide they might go for a second bait, they go for Shadow Ball. This is just complete shambles right here. Like I said, if you get an Ape Safe swap, come straight into Goodra or come straight into your other thing. With Goodra, if you no shield a Night Slash, you can pretty much force both shields or force swap. And with Giratina, you can play it out. Now, fortunately for me, the opponent comes back into Licky, so they could be quite weak to dragons on the back. I just kind of need to hope that Giratina down a shield can beat something back there. There's not a whole lot I can beat back there. Like, even a Regisail might not be that great. I decide I have to settle for a Power Whip, or sorry, an Aqua Tail here. And this is still very hard. Yeah, the opponent comes into Gligar, or up a shield. This is basically just top left at this stage. I go for a very ambitious Shadow Ball. The opponent can even no-shield this if they want to. So yeah, basically, that's why you sort of have to listen to what I'm telling you here in the video. I've played it out the stupid way, so you guys can watch me play it the stupid way. So at least like the advice I'm giving you at the start of the video is correct. That's the way you have to play it out. Altaria lead, quite interesting here. I farm up to above 10. I try to go for a CMP in 10. The opponent overfarms. I'm expecting them to go for a Moonblast here. The opponent might try to go for 2 Sky Attacks though. I do think they throw an alignment right there. So this is quite interesting. The opponent must be quite weak to Skarmory in the back. I overfarm slightly, throw off the next move before they get to the Sky Attack. The opponent lets it through, and they come into an Empoleon here, which is quite interesting. I go for a Brave Bird. which will do considerable damage to the Empoleon. Empoleon up this energy is kind of tricky. I decide I can't let them get any more energy. I have to try and just sort of pivot out, try to do something with Gira. I'm up a shield, so I should be able to do something. I'm overfarming, I shield up one Drill Peck. I decide to let the second one go. Drill Peck, not the greatest move in the world, and we're going to look to go for an Ominous Wind. The opponent is not swapped out, so they either want to take my energy here, or they just don't have a great answer to it. The opponent comes into Hippowdon. Thankfully, guys, we make it to the move just the very last second, and it's basically all up to Goodra at this point. My Giratina's down, my Skarmory's basically dead. It's all up to Goodra. The opponent here farms up to a Scorching Sands. At this point, I think I have to let this move go. I live any move, and I thought the Empoleon maybe just gets to a move. I go for the move straight away here. We're going to get off this Aqua Tail. Unfortunately, the opponent makes this on 1 HP. I wonder, was that new mechanic? Does that Dragon Breath KO here? Let's have a look here. That actually does KO, so the opponent got that off a new mechanic, which is kind of frustrating. But the Empoleon is so low, even if they had a move, 1 Dragon Breath KOs, and that's good games. Now, in the next one, we have Dragonair lead. Dragonair, of course, destroys my backline. Goodra can fight back against it pretty well, but this thing absolutely eviscerates Giratina. So we just stay in here. I actually let the first move go, which I don't normally do. You can make an argument for shielding here, but I'm just thinking, like, with these Steel Wings, I'm getting it so low that Goodra can deal with it. Now, in future matchups, I decided to shield this move. Now, the one thing I was bearing in mind here is the opponent was staying in against Skarmory. Were they staying in against Skarmory because Dragonair is kind of decent into it, you can fight back a little bit? Or were they staying in because they have something like a Wiggly in the back? That's what I was trying to take into consideration at this point. I was basically hoping that we can get some damage for him. The opponent gets up to, I believe, 7 or 8 smackdowns at this point. I decide here, I'm going to probably shield this once, just to make sure that I can take care of the Bastiodon, and then look to no-shield whatever else they throw. I'm going to try and take care of this Bastiodon, and just hope that my Skarmory is going to beat whatever's in the back. At this point, like I said, I thought it was definitely going to be like a Victory Bell or a Wigglytuff. The opponent was showing themselves to be ABA weak to Skarmory, so we're going to let this go. The opponent comes into a Trevenant. I am pausing a turn here, making sure the opponent does not catch. If you want to make sure the opponent does not catch, when you reach your charge move, stop attacking for a second and watch the opponent's animation come through. So I just stop for a second, like a half second, watch the Shadow Claw come through, and then throw the charge move as you see the move come through. That way the opponent will not be able to catch. So we get the win there, good games, and once again we have a Lickitung lead. I'm of course always really happy to see this in the lead. We just have to take care of this with Skarmory. We're going to overfarm as much as possible. Against one-turn users, especially at lower elos, I always recommend overfarming above their move, just because the opponents like to throw an alignment at times. Like right there, had I overfarmed, I would have been able to get an extra Steel Wing for free. At this range, guys, we're going to overfarm just before they get to the move. I end up going for Sky Attack this time. I did recommend going for Brave Bird. That Sky Attack, as you can see, doesn't quite KO, so you should go for Brave Bird to guarantee the KO, and we come in and snipe it. Because I'm using a one-turn move, we can deny their energy. Now we get an energy lead on the Monkey here. The opponent only builds up to 5, we can comfortably tank that. We do 1 Dragon Breath and throw for good timing, just meaning that we can keep up pace with the Annihilate. Now I've got 2 options here. I can either shield up, get off the move, and get the opponent's final shield or the knockout, or I can let this go and get the Giratina farm. I decide here, just in case the opponent boosts or does any crazy shit, I'm just going to try and get rid of the Annihilate. I swap out into Giratina, we've got all shields down. I'm thinking this might be the hardest hitting move left in the game. I can live this move, and it is actually a Gligar in the back, so I think shielding the Night Slash was good. The opponent is going for 2 Earliuses. In this matchup with Gligar, this is the correct play. I try to farm up to just before they get to the move. I thought that I could make it to an Ominous Wind and a Shadow Ball, which I do just about on CMP. I didn't want to go for the Ominous Wind first. You could of course get the boost right, but I wanted just to make sure I got off the heavy damage, and at that point we can farm it down. Gligar, fantastic lead here. As you guys seen from earlier though, it is possible to lose this. In comes Ape, and look, I've made the adjustment right here. I come straight into Goodra. Now the opponent farms up to the Shadow Ball. Guys, almost every time they went for Night Slash here. If you ever get the situation where it's Gligar lead into a Monkey safe swap, I recommend no shielding the Night Slash. Whenever it's 2-2 shields, the opponents normally just go for this cheaper move. Now, I of course want to take alignment here if possible, but I'm also thinking like Skarmory or Giratina up this amount of energy, as long as it's not a Lantern in the back or not a Lickitung that's going to hardwall me. Like, this energy does very, very well. The opponent takes alignment here, but we're going to get a nasty farm down with the Skarmory. We can farm this down in 3 here, so that leaves us pretty close to the Brave Bird. The opponent comes into their own Skarmory. ABA Flyer is pretty common with Gligar, just because Gligar is not your traditional flyer. In this matchup with Skarmory versus Skarmory, you don't want to debuff yourself straight away. You want to at least allow the opponent to throw a move first. What I'm going to do here is like to Brave Bird the next move. They go for Sky Attack, and we should maybe be okay. We're going to Brave Bird, swap into Giratina, get the energy lead, and back in comes Gligar. As you guys seen before, a Shadow Ball with the Shadow Claws just about does KO. I'm going to try my best to CMP here. The opponent goes for a big dig. That was a mistake by the opponent. Like I mentioned before, going for double Aerialius in this matchup is the most efficient way to take out a Giratina. We take it out, we go for the move here. The opponent has to farm up to 2 moves, so that's good games well played. Had the opponent went for 2 Aerialiuses, this match could have been a little bit closer, but good games. Skarmory versus Sandslash, once again we're going to play it out. I believe this opponent played this out in the most annoying way possible. Oh no, not this opponent. If you're ever Sandslash in this situation, just overfarm like crazy and try to CMP the opponent. It's super annoying. Because you can basically get a shield off the opponent and get off like 2 or 3 ice punches. It's a super annoying way to play it. At this point, guys, I decide to shield. We'll get the opponent's second shield here. The opponent's, I think, 1 off the move here, so we go for this immediately, and we'll see what they want to do. So like I said, in the 1 shield, we can do very well here. We can take alignment. It's Monkey, so we swap straight out. We cannot allow the Monkey to get an energy lead. That is one thing that we cannot allow for the back line. So if you're ever in that situation, right, where you win lead against Sandslash, if the opponent comes in with a Monkey, a Poly, or a Lantern, you swap straight out. You don't allow them to get a huge energy lead. That's game over. So anyway, we're going to play this out a little bit. We've landed some moves, and we're still in the 1-to-1s. We're going to try to farm it down, and the opponent comes into Mantine. So this should be okay. The opponent doesn't even build up to the Ice Beam, so this is a very comfortable no-shield for me. I thought they might have been Bubble Beaming me for a second. We do go for the Shadow Ball. The opponent lets it through, trying to call the bait as their win con. And yeah, this is GG's. I did go for a catch here, a little bit unnecessary, but we do reach a move with the Skarmory, and at this point, I think the opponent's on, I believe, 11 wing attacks. I can comfortably shield this move. I know the opponent's not going to be running Ice Beam anyway, and I know the Ape is super low. They're not going to get to a move. The opponent top lefts, and that's good games. Clodsire lead once again. Skarmory does very well into Clodsire, especially when they're on, well, I guess they're both resisted anyway. But I believe these are double resisted, whereas Mudshots are single resisted with the sub-steel typing. Stone Edge coming in, that does minimal damage. You don't necessarily need to go for Brave Bird straight away. You can like YOLO a Brave Bird and dip into Goodra. The opponent shields up the first move. I'm going to shield up a Stone Edge, but just because the opponent is showing that they're very weak to this. I'm going to overfarm slightly, leave it that I can like 7 and throw in good timing against a free turn move or something, and look to come into the Goodra. In comes the Dugong, and once again guys, you're going to see this. We're going to try best to throw in good timing here. We do get off the Power Whip. I could potentially look to go for the Aqua Tail, but we're actually forcing shields off Dugong, which is ridiculous if you think about it. At this range guys, I'm like, okay, we'll bring back in Skarmory. I'll look to try and deal with this. So perhaps this is the Pokemon in the back that was a little bit weak to Skarmory. Dugong does pretty fine into this. I'm gonna let the first move go, and basically look to go for the big Brave Bird. We can look to get this off on good timing, but the opponent quits. So they must have been fairly weak to the Skarmory in the back. They shielded the lead. They have a Clodsire, which cannot poison Sting down even if I Brave Bird. So yeah, good games. Talonflame lead, and the opponent comes into a Whiscash. I do manage to just about get this move off in CMP, and the opponent built up to 6 like a fucking potato. So of course we're going to no-shield the Resisted Scald, because everybody's horny for the debuff. The opponent gets the debuff, we're going to CMP on yet another Scald. The opponent is horny for another debuff. People's playstyle with Whiscash is absolutely ridiculous. At this point, I think I decide to let it go. They go for another Scald like an absolute idiot. They're going to farm me the whole way down, but we do actually make it to another Aqua Tail, which is fantastic here. Now once again guys, we're in a situation where the opponent has a Talonflame lead. We've taken both shields off the swap, and the opponent aggro swaps into Lantern. The opponent is in just complete shambles right now. Now because all of the moves are resisted, I decided to shield up this Thunderbolt, because I just thought it was very unlikely that the opponent would go for a bait. A Thunderbolt, it does chip the Giratina quite a lot. I just want to keep some health on this Pokemon. I go for the Ominous Wind first, just in case I can get the boost. One Shadow Ball does not KO the Lantern. This Shadow Ball will, and the opponent brings back in the Wistati Cash. I have to let this move go, just in case they have a Brave Bird or something like that. But at this range guys, the opponent swapped out. We should be able to farm it the whole way down, and we should be in a pretty decent position here. We got an extreme lag here. Can I actually replay that? I want to watch this back. I think in Pokemon Go, this is one of the things that pisses me off most. Stupid lag. Alright, look at this guys. I completely freeze here. The opponent's already through their animation. Like, I do 4 and throw, and somehow CMP the opponent. Like, that is just absolutely ridiculous. I think the opponent got 2 Incinerates through there. That's actually wild. Fortunately for me though, in this situation, we're not going to get hard punished for it necessarily, because the opponent, for some reason, is running Brave Bird. So they Brave Bird the Skarmory, we go for 1 and throw. Like I said, did not take the Incinerate damage, and at this range, we should be able to farm down the Whiscash. So definitely very annoying game. We're even lagging a little bit at the end. Super annoying stuff there, but we do take the win, so it's not really a problem. But like the game, just why is it like this, dude? Why is the game like this? Anyway guys, hopping into the next battle, we do have another fantastic lead and another fantastic swap. I was tempted to Brave Bird, but I realized, why Brave Bird when I can catch a Resisted Thunder? why do that when I can catch a Resisted Thunder on the Giratina? We can come in and just absolutely destroy this thing. Come out with a bunch of energy, and basically just close up this game on the swap. I'm going to look to go for CMP tie here. The opponent will throw their move immediately. They have no reason to overfarm or throw in good timing. The opponent's already thrown in alignment, so like I might as well just throw that on alignment as well. Go for the CMP tie. I try to CMP the opponent, but again, my game's just really frame droppy at the minute. I shut up all the Gligar, and this is basically curtains. In comes for Alligator. I YOLO the Brave Bird. Could have just went Sky Attack. They're of course going to shield anything I throw here. I'll come into the Goodra, and that's going to be curtains. I think at that point the opponent just wanted to see my final Pokemon. Once again, we have a Dragonair lead. Now, oftentimes, Dragonairs can be paired with Licky. They can often be paired with Lanturns. So generally speaking, this is a great lead. We of course don't want to see this Pokemon in the back. I overfarm to just before they get to the move. And I do oftentimes like going into the Goodra here. Dragonair leads can be a bit weak to Skarmory at times. We shield up the Body Slam and the opponent comes into a Lickitung. So I'm really happy I shielded that Body Slam. I need as many sort of weapons against this Pokemon as possible, right? I need Goodra to do some work here. I need Skarmory to finish it off, and then I need Giratina to be able to sweep whatever's in the back. I am just about making it to the move. The opponent could have CMP tied me if they wanted to there, which of course they would have lost, but I'm so happy with this. I can basically come in with actually Giratina and go for resisted farm down. The thing with Lickitung versus Giratina, it's all about the fast move pressure, right? I don't give a shit about these Body Slams, double resisted Body Slams, resisted Power Whips, I don't care. I'll get the nasty farm down here. The opponent comes back in with Dragonair, we farm it the whole way down, and in comes Lantern. That's curtains for them, folks. That is curtains for them. Now, if this was the case that we had no shields, I'd be kind of screwed in this situation, but just because I do, I should be perfectly fine. We'll get the final shield here, and I just basically need to come into Skarmory, go for Brave Bird. Brave Bird here does about 35–40%, I want to say. So if you get the opponent into the deep yellow, you can look to do something like that. Good games there. Completely destroyed that opponent just based on alignment. Now this is a really tricky lead. Shadow Sableye in particular is very tricky. That Fell Play just absolutely rips me a new ass here. Bang. And like, I'm sort of worried, like, can they farm me the whole way down before I get to a second move? I don't want to swap out because I'm a weak to this, but I sort of have to. The opponent comes into Altaria. Where's my Draco Meteor? Where's my Draco Meteor? I built up to like 20 just to kind of threaten it, but the opponent's never going to shield this move. I guess you could make an argument for Sludge Bomb. Somebody in my chat was talking about Sludge Bomb. I do think it's an idea, but I do love the idea of having Power Whip on things like Dugong and Azu. I think in Goodra, like, it's an absolute staple to have Aqua Tail. You have to have Aqua Tail, but you can really like sort of chop and change. You can have Sludge Bomb, you can have Draco Meteor if you want to go crazy, right? Depending on what sort of team composition you have, Goodra can be very flexible, because almost everybody's going to expect you to have the Power Whip. So yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind. Anyway guys, this is a very tricky team for me. The opponent comes into Azu here. I think I'm forced to no-shield this basically, but I do decide to respect it. It is the Ice Beam. That should be basically game over for me, I think. Unless we can like get a boost or something, get the shield, get a boost. We do go for that. Unfortunately, the opponent outpaces to the move, so good games to the opponent there. Teams like this one are just always going to be very tricky to beat. Hopping into this next battle, guys, Skarmory versus Dragonite. A very interesting lead, of course. It does a lot of fast move pressure, and the opponent comes into Azu. I'm so happy with this, and I actually make a really big potato play here in this matchup. I meant to come into Giratina, but I came into the Goodra like an absolute potato. So this is kind of tricky. I decide the opponent's probably a potato as well, and goes for Ice Beam, which they do. I can comfortably live that move, and basically look to start going for Aqua Tails here. As you're about to see, guys, I'm able to get 2 shields off the Azumarill here. This is why having Aqua Tail is so nice. I guess probably at this range, let's be honest, Muddy Water, which is the original moveset of Goodra, would have been fine. But the opponent's actually going to give me 2 shields in this matchup, which is kind of crazy. I guess Dragonair can do similar things to this, and we almost even farm it down. I decided, you know what, it's Giratina time. Ice Beam, go for it. Giratina time, we're going to farm this the whole way down, get 2 Shadow Claws, which is going to allow me to outpace the Dragonite. And I'm thinking, Dragonite lead, Azu on the swap, there's a strong chance we have a Lantern back there. The opponent comes into a Registeel, and this is basically game over. I like to go for a CMP tie here on the potential Zap Cannon. I thought the opponent might want to try to debuff me here, to try and lower the Shadow Ball damage. Doesn't matter what I throw here. I guess it sort of makes sense why the opponent was double shielding the swap. They wanted to put Reggie onto the Skarmory, which is a complete wall to it. We go for Shadow Ball number 2. That's going to completely take out the Reggie, and that's good games. I really like the idea of Registeel, but I think it's just such a tricky Pokemon to run at the minute. Hopping into the next one, we do have Sandslash. Once again, we're going to play it out the same way, and I believe this opponent was the one that was super annoying here. They farm up to 10, which means if I throw this next move now, they can CMP tie me, which means that they can outpace me to the 3rd Ice Punch. The opponent CMPs me anyway. This is an absolute pain. The opponent's played this very well. If you're ever Sandslash in this situation, I do recommend trying to play this out this way if you're against a good player. We do get the farm down. In comes Azumarill. I go for the Sky Attack first. thinking that I probably get to 2 moves. The opponent respects it, and we're going to try our absolute best to get to it. We do manage to get to the Brave Bird. This will do heavy damage to the opponent and allow us to basically deal with it with Giratina. Now right here, I decide, okay, this potato's going to Ice Beam me. Ice Beam me, big boy. The opponent goes for a Poliwrath, which actually we can still comfortably live, but it's definitely putting me closer to bubble down range. I guess because I've not received any fast move pressure in this match yet, that's not really too threatening, so that's perfectly fine. We go for Shadow Ball number 1. I really need to get rid of this Azu if I have any chance here. We get off the Ominous Wind immediately, and we're basically hoping it's something in the back that Goodra can deal with. Let's have a look here. I'm going to Insta-Swap, and it's a Cresselia. This is so rough. I'm pretty much just hoping that they've got Future Sight at this point. I tried to CMP the opponent, but the game forced me to overtap. Once again, fantastic game. We live the Moonblast though, which is pretty surprising, and we do get off the Power Whip. Dragonair would not be able to do something like this. Can we even make it to a last second move? We just about make it to the Aqua Tail. Now the question is, does this KO? Goodra, like an absolute beast, takes out a full health Cresselia, and that's good games. We take out a full health Cresselia with Moonblast. That's absolute insanity. Good games well played there. And for the final battle, guys, we're going to hop into a Sandslash game. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed the video today. Big thank you for, like I said, all the support on the streams, all the support in the videos. It's super appreciated here, and it definitely doesn't go unnoticed. Big thank you, guys. Once again, guys, I'm looking for some battle submissions this week. We have 2 weeks of Great League. I definitely need some battles sent in, so if you guys can do so, if you have any good teams, if you're hitting Legend, hitting Expert, Veteran, or if you're running any interesting Pokemon, feel free to send those in. Now, because we played that match out quite a lot, and we have residual energy, I decided to throw it here, and then look to come into our Goodra. Since the opponent's ahead in energy, I don't want to necessarily come into Giratina. This is the first one to Shadow Ball me, which is kind of annoying, but we do still get off an Aqua Tail. Once again, Shadow Dragonair just cannot do these kind of things, and we put this into a decent farm down range for Giratina. Shield 1's farm down, but like an absolute potato. Like an absolute potato. Oh, that's so bad. Guys, just don't do that, right? I'm potentially throwing this match just because I'm making it just a huge misplay here. They come back in Sandslash. Look at this, guys. I'm getting punished for my mistake for being an absolute potato. Absolutely horrible gameplay right there. I just wanted to show that, like, that's just me being completely greedy. If I shield once, farm all the way down with Giratina, I just Shadow Ball the Sandslash. Goodbye, Sandslash. They come in with Mantine. I outpace to the Shadow Ball, get through some heavy damage. And look, the opponent might still have Ice Beam, but that's definitely the path to victory. Anyway, guys, good games. Hope you all enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. We're at 2585 currently. I was up to 2850 a few weeks ago. At this point, guys, I'm not really where I want to be, but I'm going to try my best to make a good run, and hopefully we can push to Legend soon. Thanks, guys. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all next time.